One of the reasons that we all need to stand up for our country is because we're such a divided nation. And it really hurts me as an American who loves my country. I'd love to see us all on the same, I hate to use the cliche, page, but I'd really like to see a lot of common ground among all Americans. It's not happening. So think back 20 years ago, September 11th, all right? And what happened? Well, we got blown up, actually 19 years ago, by Al-Qaeda. And that brought most Americans together. You know, we had to right that wrong, and we got behind the new president, George Bush the Younger, and we did accomplish our goal. We did knock out the jihad. We did it, all right, with the help of other nations, but it was us. But that unification, that fell apart once the Iraq War went south. So in the beginning, it was all right. The USA and the coalition invaded Iraq to remove Saddam Hussein, who was not cooperating with UN weapons inspectors, and we thought had weapons of mass destruction that he might use. So once the Iraq campaign went south, then the country fractured again against conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat, and on and on and on and on. Okay. So President Bush the Younger got reelected because John Kerry was a pretty bad candidate. Nobody trusted him. And then Barack Obama came in and defeated John McCain. All the while, the country was divided. We did not unite behind Barack Obama. He said he would unite the country, but he didn't. Although he was reelected, as Bush the Younger was. He beat Mitt Romney, another weak candidate. Romney could not articulate why he would be better for the country. And he could have easily because the economy was still terrible. But anyway, divide, 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 divide. And now we're at the breaking point. That's how bad it is here. So you see the forces. It's obvious what is happening. But with the killing of George Floyd, that ripped off any kind of civility. So now it's destroy America. We have to destroy this country. And you have the media, academia, colleges, all of that on the destroy America side. And then you have traditional conservative Americans on, wait a minute. We believe the country's noble, and we believe that this nation offers more opportunity than any other nation on earth, which is true. That is true. So why do we want to blow it up because of slavery or some historical injustice? It doesn't make any sense. Now, sense is not what's in play here, though. So I was talking with a very intelligent liberal woman a few days ago, and I don't do this often off media, so I'll obviously interview anybody on TV, but in my private life, I really don't do this much, but there was an occasion where I was in her proximity, and she was giving me the America's a white supremacist nation kind of line, which I looked at her and I said, well, I don't believe that, and most Americans don't believe that. All right, so you may believe it, and under our Constitution you have a right to believe it, but it isn't a fact. And to present it as a fact is fallacious. I was using big words because she was very smart. So she said, well, you're just discounting slavery and Jim Crow. And I said, I'm not discounting anything, madam. I love that word, madam. I submit to you that every single nation in the world has a historical injustice, and more than a few. So by your calculation, if America has to be remade because of slavery, which is what the New York Times is saying, then Germany, the Soviet Union, China, every other country would have to be remade. And reparations wouldn't just have to be paid to African Americans, but every minority, including me. Now her eyes get wide. I said, my ancestors lost their land in County Cavan, Ireland. It was seized by the British Crown. And when the British Crown seized the 2 acres that my poor ancestors farmed, the father had a heart attack and the mother was left with 2 16-year-old boys who she couldn't feed. So she put them on a coffin ship where they worked their way across the Atlantic, throwing bodies into the Atlantic Ocean, and landed in Brooklyn. That's how my side, the O'Reilly side, started. So I'm entitled to reparations from the British government, am I not? Silence. And I said, look, the bottom line on this is you don't hold a country accountable for historical injustice. It's not fair to the present citizens. It's not fair to take my hard-earned money and give it to anyone because of what happened 200 years ago. That's ridiculous. So I think I won the argument because she had no comeback. Not that I cared about winning the argument, I didn't. But I fervently believe what I just told you. Now, the reason there's so much division in the country is money. That's why. It all has to do with money. Slavery had to do with money, and on up. So the media companies run by the big corporations, AT&T, Disney, Comcast, all of these people, they want to make money. That's what they want. They don't care about anything else. Nothing matters but money. Because the chieftains only keep their positions if the profits continue to rise. And one way they make money is by selling hatred toward Barack Obama or Donald Trump or anybody. You can make money, easy money, doing that. And they do. I mean, CNN is a joke as far as a news organization is concerned. And just today there was an analysis of the Washington Post's reportage of President Trump's speech in South Dakota at Mount Rushmore. And the guy who did the analysis, and you can read it on realclearpolitics.com, runs down lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. I'm sorry, it was in the Wall Street Journal today. Hallman. The Washington Post just lied, just about the speech. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's staggering. You sit there, they usually try to fake it, fake news. They usually try to, this was just outright falsehoods. The Washington Post? It's run by a guy named Marty Barron, who is about as dishonest an individual in journalism as I've ever seen. Used to be the editor of the Boston Globe. All right? Now, are they worse than the New York Times? No, the New York Times is the worst. The New York Times puts out this 1619 thing, which basically says America, the whole country is founded on slavery. It's just a lie. It's a foolish lie. But anyway, the media divides. It's not divide and conquer, it's divide and profit. And they make a bloody fortune by doing this. Look, when I started at Fox News 24 years ago, we didn't know whether we were going to be successful or not. Ted Turner, the owner of CNN, basically said, I'm going to squash those people like a bug. And the mandate was to be fair and balanced. The strategy was conservative and traditional Americans have no voice in the media, which they didn't. And we'll give them a voice. And therefore, people were hired who were deemed fair, like me. All right, you may not like me, but I'm fair. And so that presentation made a lot of money, but it wasn't based on hate. Now, what they do now, I don't know. Been out of there 3.5 years. I don't know and I don't care what they do. I don't. All right, I have friends over there and I hope they do well. But the others, including the network news, was stunned when Fox News rose up and dominated. And they said, well, we have to have a new strategy now. We have to hate the opposition. And since Fox has all the traditional conservatives watching, we got to go the other way, which they did. In the beginning, MSNBC wasn't a liberal network. And CNN wasn't nearly what it is today. And the network news was always left, but not crazy left. And now you know what it is. You can't turn on that channel and think you're getting any reliable, honest information. If you watch those concerns, you can't. But they are profiting. They are making money off the hatred. A program like The View 20 years ago could never have been on the air. Barbara Walters started that, and while it always tilted left, it was entertaining. I went on it many times, as you know. Now it's a hate fest. That's what they do. They hate Trump. Every day, all day, that's it. Only 2.5 million people watch it, but it makes money, and Disney cashes the check. Boom, boom. Disney knows what it is. They know. They don't care. Now, when you get all of that hatred coming out, and it's on talk radio too, all right? You know, all of it, just every day, well, it's going to seep into the culture. And it has. And we're divided now. And under Donald Trump, who is polarizing himself, this division has reached almost violent levels. It has reached violent levels on the far left. They justify burning things down and hurting people and looting and all of that. They justify it. You don't hear condemnation of looters on MSNBC or CNN or in the New York Times. If you do, send it to me. I'd like to see it. I didn't see it, and I'm pretty well informed. So when you have that, when you have this division, then you get into really bizarre situations. And I'm going to point one out. So you may know Tammy Duckworth. She's being considered as VP candidate under Joe Biden. All right, she's a senator from Illinois, 52 years old, former, I think she's in the Army, all right? She was deployed to Iraq as a Black Hawk helicopter pilot for the Illinois Army National Guard. On November 12, 2004, her helicopter was hit by a ground surface-to-air missile. She lost her legs and partial use of her right arm. So Ms. Duckworth is a patriot, okay? And she went to Iraq for her country. She's a Thai American, raised in Hawaii, and she got severely injured. Though that's the truth, and you got to respect that. The problem is that now that she's a senator from Illinois, she's gone way far left. Roll the tape.
George Washington, I don't think anybody would call him a traitor. And there are moves by some to remove statues of him. Is that a good idea?
I think we should listen to everybody. I think we should listen to the argument there. But remember that the president at Mount Rushmore was standing on ground that was stolen from Native Americans who had actually been given that land during a treaty.
Well, what does that have to do with George Washington? And that's true, by the way. When you read my book, Killing Crazy Horse, out in September, you'll see what happened to the Sioux and the U.S. and how they dealt with each other. I spell it right out for you. But that had nothing to do with George Washington. Instead of sticking up for the father of our country, a man so heroic, you can't even describe it. And if you don't believe me, read Killing England, because I do describe it there, but it takes, 70, 80 pages. He's such a hero. Yes, his wife owned slaves. Yes, and he benefited from that. But that doesn't override the fact that we wouldn't have our freedoms if not for George Washington. Okay, so instead of saying, no, we shouldn't tear down statues of George Washington, as any responsible senator would do, she doesn't. She diverts it into Mount Rushmore is a bad thing. So Tucker Carlson criticizes Duckworth, all right? And I'm not going to get into it, but Tammy Duckworth has a right to her point of view, and so does Tucker Carlson. So he calls her names, and he shouldn't do that. But his criticism was pretty much what my criticism is. If you're a sitting senator and you can't stand up for George Washington, you're wrong. You're wrong. In the course of his analysis, Mr. Carlson says, we wanted Senator Duckworth to come on the program and debate it, but she would not. She's a coward. Shouldn't have said that, because then the media immediately said, oh, look at this. Tammy Duckworth lost both legs fighting for her country, and this guy calls her a coward. That's not what he did. It's totally out of context. But that you can forget about context in the United States of America's media. That's never going to happen. Okay? But Carlson was saying, afraid to come on and debate me, which I believe Senator Duckworth is. If I called her up and said, hey, I'd like to come on and talk to you, she'd never come on. Ever in a million years. No matter what forum I was in. Because she knows she can't stand up to George Washington. Well, we should have everybody's opinion, and if they think he's bad, then we should throw his statue into the water and tear down a Washington Monument. I mean, it's so insane. But this just shows you the division. Now let's go even further left. You know Congressman Omar, right? Somali woman, came over with her family 1995, is a congresswoman from Minnesota. All right, so Omar is a communist. He's not a socialist. And she wants to break down everything in America, not just capitalism, but the whole society. Roll tape.
As long as our economy and political systems prioritize profit without considering who is profiting, who is being shut out, we will perpetuate this inequality. So we cannot stop at criminal justice system. We must begin the work of dismantling the whole system of oppression wherever we find it.
That's Lenin, all right? That's Stalin right there. That's what they said. So I'm going to say that she may have plagiarized that from Lenin and Stalin. That's Fidel. Okay, she's entitled to her opinion. The morons in Minnesota who voted for her can't explain it. And she would just rip up the whole country. But get this. Miss Omar is married to a guy named Tim Mynett, M-Y-N-E-T-T, who runs a consulting firm in Washington, D.C. Miss Omar has taken her campaign donations, there's Mynett, has taken $878,000 of her campaign donations and gave it to her husband for consulting. $878,000. So this communist thing, I don't know if this is working in private. You know what I'm talking about? Now, who benefits from the $878,000? I believe Congressman Omar, she's married to the guy. Now, it's not illegal. If you're a senator or a congressperson, you can't give money to your spouse. You can't hire them to work in your office, but you can, if they have a private business, give money to their business. It's legal. So I thought you'd want to know about Congressman Omar. Now, have you heard that story reported anywhere? You're not going to hear it on CNN, New York Times, Washington Post. Well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe they'll run something on page 56, but I doubt it. Let's bring in Brett Tallman, former U.S. Attorney for the state of Utah. He's in Salt Lake City, head of the Tallman Group. Okay, so I'm not sure about the Justice Department and how aggressive they are being in trying to hunt down these statue destructors. Do you have any information about how this campaign is going?
Yeah, it is a methodical campaign, and the reason is they're really struggling to get a perfect statute that handles all of the issues. But you'll notice they're trying to identify faces a lot. You're seeing a lot of advertising. Does somebody know this person or this person? The reason they're doing that is because there are several statutes: conspiracy, RICO, CCE, which is continuing criminal enterprise. If they can put together a conspiracy of people, they can get tougher sentences, and they can go after them even, in states where we see in Democrat-controlled states, we don't see a whole lot being done.
Do you believe that this is a top priority for the FBI? I mean, are they pedal to the metal, or are they just doing, a little show here for us?
No, I think they started out very slow, but I've spoken to several prosecutors, including U.S. attorneys in several offices, who have this as one of their highest priorities. There are a dozen statutes, Bill, that can be utilized, and several of them are felony statutes, and they could face up to 10 years if it's a war memorial, if it is a federal property. They're utilizing even damage to federal property statutes that have not traditionally been thought of when you're thinking about a monument or a statue, but instead apply to government-owned property. They're utilizing that now, and so I do think they are ramping it up, and certainly they've had pressure from the White House to do so.
Yeah, and now the National Guard is guarding monuments in Washington, D.C., overriding the local crazy left mayor who wouldn't do anything and actually encourages, in my opinion, people to destroy stuff. So the National Guard was posted over the July 4th weekend, and we had, shockingly, no disturbances. Nobody went up against the Guard to try to wreck anything. So Donald Trump could do that anywhere he wants if it's federal property, correct?
That's right, he can. And there's even some discussion, I know, that if it gets out of hand and you start seeing these places like Chaz or Chop, the governors have the first line of authority there, and so the president has been looking quite frantically, I think, in angles or ways that he might be able to help, because let's face it, the country as a whole really cannot tolerate this for much longer.
No, and even in Chicago and New York, where the murder, and we'll get to that in a minute, is now out of control, President Trump could send National Guard people in there to stop it. And he has hinted he may. He should. He should. If he wants to be reelected, that's the kind of bold action he's going to have to take. I don't know if he will or not. Do you hear anything about that?
I hear that there are constant daily discussions about where and how to utilize the reserves, how to get governors and mayors to step up and to request Washington's help, and you can see it in the president.
Never going to do that in New York and Illinois. I mean, I would do it under the Protect Black Lives banner. I'm going to protect Black lives. I'm going to move military people into Chicago and New York, into the areas where this murder is at a level higher than Afghanistan or Iraq, and I'm going to stop it. You tweeted out, stand up for your country independently of us. Why did you do that?
I saw a few citizens, I saw a video clip of a few citizens who stood in harm's way to stop the destruction of some monuments. And I think at that moment, it really hit me that we have to do this. And as a country, we cannot be the silent majority. We have to stand up. We have to start defending. We can do it peacefully, but we can also not allow force to be utilized. And this country is, I think, ready for that.
All right. I do too. That's why I started our campaign, Stand Up for Your Country. Yep. And we have the stickers, and we're going to have other things too. And we'll tell everybody about, there's a sticker, but we're going to tell everybody about specifics a little later on. There were, I want to point out, pro-police demonstrators on Long Island, where I live. About 1,000 people showed up on a very hot day to demonstrate pro-police as the police take it on the chin everywhere. I want to ask you one question about this Epstein case.
Yes.
So they arrest his girlfriend or whatever she was, and they're charging her with stuff that could put her away for life. And many theorize that they want her, Maxwell, her name is, to testify against or accuse big name people like Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, and others. My question to you is this. There have been accusations against Prince Andrew in particular. I'm not sure about Bill Clinton, but he's in the mix because he knew Epstein and was flying around with him. There have been accusations already lodged. They've been denied. Maxwell is in a position to know who did what. If she says to the feds, look, you cut my sentence, and I'll give you Andrew and a whole bunch of other famous people, is that enough to get a grand jury indictment? Because the grand jury is going to have to know that this woman is making a deal to save herself. So you have an original accusation, you have her. Is that enough to get an indictment?
Yeah, first, I want to commend you because you're the only person that I've heard in the media identify that she would be sentenced for the rest of her life. Everyone's talked about the 20 years that the statute has, but you're the first one to identify she actually is facing the rest of her life based on the sex trafficking charges. But yes, there is only one way for her to try and shorten her sentence, and that is through what they call substantial assistance, or 5K 1.1 assistance. That assistant is, in essence, she joins with the government. They debrief her multiple times. They get all the information out. She provides any documentation she may have from her computers or otherwise, and then they would present it. And Bill, you're absolutely right. It would be enough in the grand jury to get an indictment. No question, it would be enough. Circumstantial evidence would be enough. But if she has direct knowledge of some of those sexual assaults, then it would be enough.
Even if the people on the grand jury know she's doing this to save her own butt.
Yeah, they have to reveal that she is charged, and they would have to tell the grand jury that she is cooperating. Even with that, though, about the best she can do is probably cut 10 or 15 years off her sentence. She'll still go away for a long time.
All right. We appreciate it, Brett, as always. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Bill.
We'll see you soon. One of the things that angers me is that a lot of people are defenseless. They don't have any money. They live in horrible places. And the only thing that protects these people, the only thing, are the police, the authorities. Okay, that's it. They have no other protection. Now, they can buy a gun or something like that. Okay. But really, when it comes down to it, 911 is their lifeline. Pritzker in Illinois, Cuomo in New York, Inslee in Washington State, Newsom in California, they have the power as governors to protect the poorest people in their states. They don't do it. They won't do it because they're cowards. But Kemp, the governor of Georgia, did it. And I think you should all know what he did. So after 31 people were shot in Atlanta, and there was a bunch of destruction of statues and other things, Governor Kemp declared a state of emergency, okay? Because Atlanta was out of control. And he sent in 1,000 National Guard, okay? And the National Guard are protecting government property, state property, and helping the police. So if there's an area where there's a lot of violence, the Guard shows up and makes sure nobody's walking around beating people up or shooting at people. So this is what Governor Kemp did. And just for that, I'd vote for Governor Kemp no matter what he ran for. But the other governors won't. So why would the people vote for the other governors? Why would you vote for Cuomo for anything? Cuomo wants to be president. How can he possibly run for president? I don't know how he can do it. He signed the law that's a no bail for violent criminals. So you're a violent criminal, you smash somebody in the face, knock their teeth out, cop catches you, which is 1 in 1,000, brings you in, books you for assault, you're out in an hour. Then you go out and punch somebody else. It's a joke to these people. It's a joke now. That's why you see the crime explode. That's why this is happening. All right? But you're not going to get this from the liberal politicians. No, they're not going to tell you that. Listen to Mayor de Blasio about the 200% rise in shootings in New York City in a month. Go.
We also saw too much violence this weekend, and this is something that we have a lot of work to do to address. And it's directly related to all the dislocation that's happened over these last 4 months with the coronavirus.
Yeah, so the coronavirus did it. Yeah, not you cutting $1 billion out of the police budget. No, not you not supporting the cops when people try to kill them, all right, and humiliate them and throw Molotov cocktails. You won't support them. okay? Not you encouraging Cuomo to sign that insane bail law. No, none of that. It's the virus that caused all the murders. So you're sitting at home, you're going, this is a Saturday Night Live skit, right? This guy is so stupid it hurts. I guarantee you if he ran, he might win again. He can't run again, but he might win. And by the way, there's no recall in New York. He's in his second term. You can't get him out unless he commits a crime. Now, some might say he's an accessory to murder. I think I could make that case, but you know that's not going to happen. But it's so galling. What's happening in this whole country is so galling. I just can't imagine. And if I were President Trump, I would move guard in to Chicago for sure, and probably to Seattle. New York's a little dicier because it's just so big. But if it gets worse, I would. Now, on the Trump front, he gave a great speech as we analyzed last night. If you missed last night's program, please watch it. We ran down a speech. It was excellent. It was written by Stephen Miller, who's a really good speechwriter. But then the president negates the strength of the speech by attacking the NASCAR driver, Bubba Wallace. This is about the, lynch thing. All right. Now, I'm saying to myself, why? Why? Bubba Wallace made a mistake. All right. Now, maybe he's an arrogant guy. I don't know him. The noose thing was there long before Bubba Wallace showed up in the garage. It was a total bull, you-know-what story. Okay. But is he really important, Mr. President? No. No, he's not. And by criticizing him, you put yourself in a place to be attacked as a racist. So here's the Trump tweet. As Bubba Wallace apologized to all of those great NASCAR drivers and officials who came to his aid, stood by his side, were willing to sacrifice everything for him, only to find out the whole thing was just another hoax. That and the flag decision has caused the lowest ratings ever. Okay, so that's what Donald Trump tweets, and now he's a racist. And believe me, misinformed people or people who don't pay attention, they believe this stuff. All right, and then the professional sports team. So the Washington Redskins have to change the name, not because Dan Snyder, who owns the team, wants to, but because FedEx, who gave him $200 million to put FedEx on the stadium, says, hey, Dan, you got to change the name. So they will. They'll be Washington something else. Cleveland Indians, I don't know, Indians? Is that offensive? I got a book coming out called Killing Crazy Horse, The Merciless Indian Wars in America. It's not a, Indian isn't a pejorative. All right? Indian tribes. It's not a bad word, but now you can't be the Cleveland Indians. So, all right, I don't care. It's annoying, but if I'm president, do I get involved? Trump gets involved. I don't know why. Quote, they name teams out of strength, not weakness. Now the Washington Redskins and Cleveland Indians, two fabled sports franchises, look like they're going to be changing their names in order to be politically correct. Indians like Elizabeth Warren must be very angry right now. All right, I don't know whether they're angry, but the point is, Mr. President, if you hear about my analysis, does not help you. Doesn't help you to do this. Stick with the big stuff. The big stuff. All right, so Donald Trump meets today with a bunch of people, and schools are going to have to open in August and September. If they don't open, Trump will lose. I said that a long time ago. They will open, most of them anyway. All right? Harvard is opening some, not, this and that. I don't care what they do in Cambridge. But public schools in Florida are going to open. The local district should do what's best in their district, all right? But they're going to open. The roundup is that U.S. air travel over the 4th of July weekend down 73%. Nobody wants to go on a plane. In Europe, there hasn't been a slide back. I asked the staff to research, but the countries there aren't sliding back as we are in Florida and Texas and other states, California. That's because we are party people. It's the parties that are doing it. Don't go to parties. Do not cluster. All right, baseball returns July 23rd. No fans, TV. We'll see how that goes. They're going to be players with COVID. They'll be on the disabled list. Let's see. Anything? Oh, Mexico. In a small town, Sonoita, right opposite Lukeville, Arizona. I don't know really where Lukeville is. I've been at Tucson and Bisbee, but I don't know where Lukeville. Well, anyway, the Mexican residents down there put a car caravan to block Americans from coming into Mexico. A little payback, I guess. So the mayor, Jose Ramos Arzate, issued a statement saying U.S. tourists should not visit Mexico. Hey, Mr. Mayor, okay with me. I'm not going. As long as the cartels run your country, I'm not going. All right? And I got some stuff to say about China in my final thought as well. But don't worry, Mr. Mayor, you're going to have to blockade me. I'm going to the Caribbean if I want to get a little beach on foreign soil. I get some mail. Anthony, concierge member. A concierge member on BillO'Reilly.com gets direct access to me in private. So you can email me anything that I can help you with, I will. And it's a pretty good program. So Anthony says, your analysis of the rise of Barack Obama is the American dream as you described it. As much as I did not like his politics, I always said he was a great role model for the minorities of the country. So if you missed my analysis of Barack Obama and how that goes against the white supremacy and all that, that was yesterday. Lynn, exactly what do you mean by stand up for your country, Bill? So Lynn, come on. All the people who believe that America is a noble nation need to stand up and let people know. Every one of us. And that's why we provided these stickers. They mail out today. You put them on your backpack, you put them on your house, whatever you want to do. You make a statement. Stand up for your country. David, who paid for Barack Obama's Harvard education? The people who donate money to Harvard University. He got a free ride through law school. He earned it, but that's who paid. Greg, many of my Democrat friends claim President Obama was a great leader. Can you explain some accomplishments or why he would be considered a great president? He isn't considered a great president by historians. There wasn't really anything that he did other than getting the job because he was a man of color. But I think he'll be in the middle range. Alan, does the National Guard have arresting power in inner cities? No. They can detain. They cannot arrest. Local authorities have to arrest. TD, concierge member, thank you, TD. The crime and destruction in our far left cities is staggering. Why has it been allowed by the governors? Because they don't care. It goes against the narrative that white people are the reason that black people have problems. That's the narrative. When it's black killing black, the narrative disappears and the governors in the liberal states are not going to go against it. Andrew Strausser, Hartsdale, New York. Bill, love the No Spin News. Been watching you for more than 10 years. What's the best way to counter a person when they start to talk about systemic racism? Ask them to give you 2 examples of systemic racism. Give me 2. Most of them will be able to do it. Shel Smith, Kodiak, Alaska. Bill, for the 4th of July, I organized a kids' bike for your country parade. The urchins loved it. And they asked me to do it again next year. See, this is what you can do. All right? Kids bike for your country. Everybody can do this. Excellent, Shell. Thomas Francis, San Diego. Bill, we've been watching you for years and have provided several gift memberships for family and friends. Would it help if we contacted the major news corporations and complained about their biased coverage? No. They don't care about you. As I said at the beginning of the program, they care about money, and there are enough far-left people to watch where they're making money. Stephen King, Potomac, Maryland, your July 7th program was a masterpiece. They should play it in every journalism class to show how a professional does it. Very nice of you, Stephen. Thank you. The other Stephen King, the guy who writes the monster books in Maine, he didn't like me very much. Okay. So as I said, we're shipping the Stand Up for Your Country stickers today. We want you to get your packs. I kept the price as low as I could keep it. All right. Give them out to everybody. And if somebody won't take it, it tells you a lot, doesn't it? So display them where you want. Be proud of your country. It is a noble nation. Stand up for your country. We do not kneel. Okay? So that campaign is very successful. Got a couple of 100,000 out. We want to get 2 million. See, we need your help. Word of the day, no chicanery when writing to BillO'Reilly.com. It's Bill@BillO'Reilly.com, Bill@BillO'Reilly.com. Name and town if you wish to opine. All right, here is the final thought of the day. On the radio, I do a number of things each week, and I'd like you to listen to them. We have them posted. So let me give you a little tease on it. Roll the tape.
There was this crazy protest in the Hamptons last week where they all showed up at Michael Bloomberg's house and Steve Schwartzman's house. I mean, who would even think to protest these guys? But they obviously were financed. They came on buses. Who is behind all that?
Well, I write about that in my column on BillO'Reilly.com entitled, Does Karl Marx Matter? And I can't tell you specifically who financed the Hamptons jaunt, where about 200 protesters were demanding that rich people give them money and give money to the people. This is a communist place, what communists do. Who paid for it? I don't know. Someone had to bust them out, make the signs. You know, there are various organizations that do that.
Go ahead.
This moron in the Bronx, in the New York State Legislature, is introducing a bill that New York police, including city police, would now have to buy private insurance to defend themselves against any lawsuits directed at them. Right now, the law is in New York, the city or the state has to defend the police. The police don't spend money if somebody comes after them and sues them. Now, the police officers make between $60,000 and $100,000 a year. They can't afford to have that kind of a insurance premium to pay. So what this woman in the Bronx is doing, this moron, is basically saying, I don't want any police. And she lives in the Bronx, where there are now, 10, 15 shootings every day since the communist mayor de Blasio defunded or took $1 billion away from their budget, and the anti-crime unit was disbanded.
The program The View, this is Disney. It's under the ABC News banner. It's not an entertainment program. Is a hate fest. If you don't agree with the lady's far-left point of view, they hate you. They try to hurt you. Now, only 2.5 million people watch that thing. But it generates enough money that Disney says, well, we don't really care whether they hate people. We're going to take the coin. And that has corrupted the media in America.
Okay, you can listen to all of those radio interviews on BillO'Reilly.com. We hope you do, and visit our website. The word of the day, I forgot, is churlish. Please do not be churlish, C-H-U-R-L-I-S-H, when writing to BillO'Reilly.com. And to me, Bill@BillO'Reilly.com. Name and town, please. I want you to have a great weekend. We'll be checking into BillO'Reilly.com. Please do so as well, and we'll see you soon.